Hey friends, what is up? Welcome to today's vlog. So me and Kaidale have came to visit fun Uncle Wesley and his wife Dakota. We have yet to come up with a fun aunt nickname, but we will figure it out. Don't worry.
Not Fant.
We're thinking Fant or what was the other one? Font, but it's just not hitting right. So we'll figure it out. In the meantime, we thought we would do a fun Q&A because Kaidale just fell asleep, and we have some fun brother-sister bonding time.
Charlie's in the background.
That's okay.
That's really cute.
What is it like being an autism aunt and uncle?
You
well,
might have,
uncle
you might have
years.
to speak up. I don't have a mic.
It's awesome. First
Aww.
off, learned so much from Kaidale to enjoy nature
It's
and
fun to run.
the people we're around.
Yeah.
And family.
It's interesting, like, when I say, like, I love you, and he's like, love you. And he, like, repeats it back. Yeah, I was doing that today.
Sweet. Yeah.
On the stairs, I was like, love you, and he's like, love you.
Aww.
I feel like he really, really appreciates like family time and nature and being
he's so
just
happy
with people
to be here. So thrilled, which
I
makes
feel
me
like
happy.
just slowing down and like appreciating each other, which I love.
I love
sure.
the enthusiasm on
everything.
Aww,
you know,
that's so sweet.
Yeah, for sure.
Charlie. I love how our house is named Charlie.
Yeah, our house is named Charlie because he's like perfect angel.
Because he's Charlie. Yeah.
That big lazy thing.
Yeah.
That's Charlie.
Yeah. Charlie boy.
That was really sweet. All right, well, that was kind of like an open-ended question that, you know, I kind of put him on the spot. But, all right, well, next question.
I can take that.
Okay, take it.
Okay, so, man, going into the deep end here. Kaidale has taught me the, how important progression is in your life and how everything in a development and like growth is so important, you know? And like people don't like, I feel like the average sort of person or the average people who are kind of just going through life, like they don't see progress and sort of, it's a new perspective on progress, I would say, and growth. Because every time I see him, he has grown so much. I guess his growth is more pronounced to me. I don't know.
Yeah, like more,
Yeah.
like obvious.
Like personal growth.
I think too, because Wesley is like a part of his immediate family, but he doesn't see him like every single day. So I feel like when he does see him on a weekly or I guess more so monthly to be realistic basis, like when he sees him like, you know, every other month or whatever, it's like, oh wow, he's changed a lot in the last couple months. So I think it's a little bit more obvious to him than somebody like me or my parents that see him every day. So it's probably a little bit more pronounced, right? Is that kind of what you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, like I remember he became potty trained and he became verbal, and like for me, I guess that's how I view my life. Like I view my life like when I got married as like, wow, like that was like a big deal. Like that was awesome. And for the things that Kaidale does, like talking and using the bathroom, and it's that growth that I this is how I view sort of myself in the world, or like for me, like graduating soon, so that's like a milestone, you know, and like that's just like inspirational to me, I suppose.
Aww, that's
so
sweet.
Yeah. And like for his, and like I saw like I saw a lot of development, like with the sort of trial period of therapy and schooling, and I remember the like patience and sort of trying these therapists and outlets and things like that. And I remember when JSA became his sort of outlet, how positive and good it was. And it was like, yes, these are the right people, this is the right sort of thing. And it was so good. And then to see that, you know, like I've seen that just, play out from the day to day, you know, and like year to year. So, is that...
Kaidale is freaking smart. So smart. You don't have to like baby talk to him or yell at him. Like, he knows what you're saying 100%. And that's so something true. I'm learning, like just being around Kaidale. Like, he responds, he knows exactly what you're saying. Like, he may not respond in the way that you're used to, but like, he definitely knows what you're saying all the time. Like, he's so smart, and like, you don't have to be whatever, like, I don't even know. You don't have to filter what you say in front of him, or you can talk to him like a normal human being. Like, people with disabilities, like, you can talk to them like they're people, because they are, and they're awesome people. Like, it's just different communication styles, but it doesn't matter, because he's so smart. Like, yeah, that's what I got out of Kaidale, for real. Like, he's so smart.
Oh my God, baby.
I don't know, what do you think?
Do you have anything that you want to add, or do you think they could have summed it up pretty good?
I would say that there are higher highs than the average person. So, like, for example, going to the beach or going to a trail or nature, or his enthusiasm. Like, I remember when he would go on that bouncy thing at the mall.
Oh my God.
And he would, like, it's like his like enthusiasm is so extravagant in the direction of the things that,
which is
that
awesome.
sort of like, you know, like turned him on.
He appreciates
it. And it's that's pretty inspirational, like the sheer joy.
Yeah, you can learn so much. Like, I just feel like it strips down all the barriers, and it's just like, man, like, just enjoying things so much. Like, I don't know, there's a lot to learn. That's another thing you should know. There's a lot
and like just like water and the outdoors and things like that, like
enjoying nature. I don't know, there's just so much to learn from him, and he's so smart, and
for real,
awesome.
Very very communicative.
Okay, so Wesley brought up a really good point, and that is that he actually lived with Kaidale the first 3 years of his life, for the most part. So I've talked about in previous vlogs how we moved back in with my parents when Kaidale was like 6 months old. And that was so that, you know, I could go to nursing school and get some support and some help, and kind of get through some milestones that I wanted to get through, and, you know, grow and develop for myself so that I could continue to support Kaidale on my own. And good old Uncle Wesley was there along for the ride. Wesley had just graduated high school. He was a college student, and he was, you know, trying to finish his undergrad classes, and so he was kind of in the background for a lot of that stuff, and he was, you know, a first person witness to a lot of Kaidale's early childhood growth and development. So I guess the next question that I would like to ask Wesley for an interview question would be
the journey. Okay, so I was there when Kaidale was diagnosed with autism. I was a direct member. I was in the house, and I was confused. I didn't. I remember, you know, he was 2 right? It was
Yeah.
2?
Yeah.
Okay. So as a 2-year-old, as a non-autistic 2-year-old, you're not really walking, you're not really talking, you're not a full functional person. And so for me, I just didn't believe it. You know, it was, I guess you could say it was classic denial, you know, as a 2-year-old. But so that was the beginning, and I lived with him for another 3 years. And so as his development went on, it was something that I witnessed firsthand from, I guess, ages 2, 3, 4, 5, approximately, something like that. And I know Kaitlin's talked about this before, and there are a lot of people out there who are getting the diagnosis, who are processing and going through this whole journey. I was there with the diagnosis, okay? Experienced denial. And it was easy because he was 2 years old, so he wasn't, walking, talking, nobody really does, you know? So it was easy for me to deny that, and I know a lot of other people, probably their first reaction is a little bit of denial. That's part of the whole process of acceptance. But after that, after you've gone through that sort of processing and understanding, it's like, what next? So what do you do next? It's kind of this journey that's been laid before your feet. And I was there from the very beginning of the outreach to sort of therapy and education and treatment and et cetera, et cetera. And I remember this might have been before the diagnosis, but he went to my preschool, the one that I went to as a kid, and it sort of didn't work out. And then I remember there was another preschool on Fleming Island, which is where we live. It didn't really work out, and so there was this sort of trial and error period. And it's as everybody knows, it's the autistic spectrum, or it's the sort of just question mark on the sort of journey and what that's going to be. And just judging from, I would say, the years, literally, because I spent 3 years there. I spent 4 years still seeing him, but sort of from a different perspective. And it's the years, and it's the days, and it's the minutes, and it's the sort of day-to-day investments, I would say, from the people around him. And I was privileged to have a part of that for a while. I remember taking him to school, I remember taking him to his therapist, and having that community of people with Grandma, Big Guy, Kaitlin, John, the therapist. It's I would say it's one of those things that's, from being there at day one, the starting line, to probably 6-7 years later into his sort of journey and treatment and development, it's just been so much more than we could have asked for or hoped for, or it's so much more. It's like there's a verse in the Bible that I'm paraphrasing where it says your cup will overflow with blessings from the Lord. And just that metaphor of having sort of a cup or something to contain the good fortune and the blessings and the people around you, and it's something that's overflowing, or it's abundant with positivity and love and kindness and all of this virtue and patience. Being there from day one to now, this day right here, it's been a very consistent, exponential, positive trajectory, I would say. And seeing that from day one to this day has been really inspirational and positive and happy. So that's my perspective.
So, like, Wesley was there for, like, a lot of Kiddo's early years, which were a lot of the difficult years, like, before we knew what was going on or how we were going to deal with this. Wesley was kind of more so there for, like, those earlier years. And he talks about, the early preschool years, the early daycare years, to where we were just, we could not get a preschool to take him. And it's like they would say, oh, yeah, we take kids of all different sort of abilities and disabilities. And, we're open and we're capable and we're, able to take care of these kids, different types of kids. And so, we went through like 2 or 3 different daycares when I was in nursing school. And it would be like within the first week, they would be calling me and saying, nope. Sorry, we can't handle this. We're not equipped for this. This is not within our scope of practice. This is not within our realm. And it would be onward and upward to the next place. And so those were like some really rough first years. And it's just like, it's crazy to think about where Kaidale was and where he is now. And I'm not saying that now he would be accepted into mainstream places like that, but I'm just saying, our capability and our ability to like understand him and care for him, and the mutual understanding between him and us is just, it's grown so much since then. What did you want to say? Dakota had something she wanted to say.
Okay, you can
Me?
go.
Yeah.
Okay. You said you had something you wanted to say and I cut you off.
No, that was good. So I had a little different perspective. So I've been with Wesley for like 11 years.
Yeah.
So I've known him before Kaidale came into existence. But just watching, like, I don't know, I felt like I was a little bit on the outsider because I wasn't a part of the family. But watching them.
You were always a part of the family.
I like to think that. But I'm still a little bit of an outsider. So watching them from the time he was born to his diagnosis to growing so much within like learning about autism and just adapting and loving Kaidale, like, and Kaidale's so smart and like, I don't know, I was just like in awe. I was like, man, like Kaidale came into like the perfect family. Like Kaitlin is so amazing, and going through nursing school and just everything, like I had a little different perspective because I didn't see him every single day, but all the growth he's made and all the growth Kaitlin's made over the last 8 years has just been like in awe. Like it's amazing. I don't know. That was what I wanted to say because I think Kaidale and Kaitlin are just
stop it.
1,000,000 out of 10. Like I don't know. And just I see Kaitlin, or unfortunately I see Kaidale and Kaitlin not that often, but every time I see them, like Kaidale is just so smart and so amazing and makes so many strides. Like I think you agree with that. And I don't know, I just think it's so cool, and I don't know. That's what I wanted to say. That's all I wanted to say. It's not as eloquent as Wesley, but I love them. And seeing them from the outside and looking in, I just feel so privileged to be a part of their journey, a small little tidbit of their journey together. Yeah. That's all I'm saying.
That's so sweet.
In the same sort of line of thought as what we were talking about with Kaidale's diagnosis, etc., his treatment, his therapy. So one thing that sort of stands out to me, and that I think it's a lesson that can be applied to anybody who doesn't necessarily have a special needs child, or who sort of has any sort of obstacle in life, whether it's with yourself or anybody that you know. So it's not like there's a question in life as to whether or not whether or not you will experience hardship, but the inevitability that you will experience hardship, and how you resolve that and how you approach that. And with Kaidale, I don't want to overemphasize or underemphasize anything, but it has been a challenge, and there have been a lot of sort of obstacles and hurdles and endeavors and efforts that have been made. So if anybody who's watching this, you don't have to have a special needs child. You could have experienced any sort of obstacle in life. So it's how you overcome that. And the fact that it has been overcome by everybody, whether it's Kaitlin or Kaidale or the community that's around Kaidale. I mean, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Life is challenging, and everybody has their sorts of challenges, whether or not it's with themselves or the people around them or their circumstances. And I've been there. I was there firsthand. And to see, I remember when Kaitlin was working several low-wage minimum jobs and struggling to make ends meet. But I was also there when she was a student in school. I was there when she graduated school. I was there when she was a nurse. I was there when she had all of these sorts of life accomplishments. And it's so inspirational to me. That's something that I get from the whole story, is that not only to overcome these sorts of obstacles that life has given you, but to overcome them with such, I would say, grace and inspiration and excellence is something that is inspirational to me. Because I was there for the first days and the first years of Kaidale, and we didn't know what sort of capability he had. And to see him not only meet those expectations, but exceed those expectations in such a great way is inspirational to me. So, yeah.
So one last question that I have, because you guys are nearing the age, well, you're at the age, and you guys had just celebrated your 4th year of being married. So y'all are kind of getting close to probably thinking about kids. Maybe. maybe not.
Yeah.
There's a lot of coughing in the background.
No.
So, as you guys think about kids, you think about growing your family and your future and, having, children. I don't know if you guys want 1, 3, 5 kids. I don't know, because we haven't talked about that. But as you guys raise kids in today's world, how do you foresee, trying to teach your kids to be inclusive, trying to teach your kids to be aware of diversity and neurodiversity in kids like Kaidale with special needs? What would be y'all's perspective and y'all's approach and y'all's I guess just approach, really, on how to talk to your kids about neurodiversity?
So, to expose our kids potentially to diversity, I think, first of all, it's excellent. I think that's amazing. I would say the best way would absolutely be to talk to them, to expose them to art, culture, history that includes diversity. But in a more direct way, I would say just expose them to it. Just try to, figure out what parts of your community are maybe doing events that are for special needs, whether it's a charity walk or whether it's a marathon or whether it's some sort of community event. I know these things sort of exist, and they're, at our school, I go to Florida State. She went to Florida State. One thing that I think is really cool there that I've seen on a daily basis is we have a program for blind education. And I see a lot of people who are training to be caretakers for people with blindness. And so I would say just exposure, just trying to engage in those communities. For us, it's kind of at our doorstep with autism, because with Kaidale, he's my nephew, and whether we're spending time with him, whether I've, again, I was there. I've, for a couple years in his life, I talked to Kaitlin on a regular basis. I actually, I had a book that was recommended to me by a friend. It was called The Reason I Jump. And it was written by a 13-year-old boy who has autism. And it was just his perspective. So engaging in that sort of thing, whether, it's a literature or culture or sort of social events. I know Caitlin's gone to some walks and some autism outreach. I would say there's not a lot of room to do it wrong. There's no wrong way to engage in the culture. I think it's there. I think you just have to initiate it for yourself and for your children, for the people around you. So.
Well, I think just talking about them,
Yeah.
talking to them about it, I think it's just important to open up communication. Obviously our kids are going to be in Kaidale's life because they're going to be cousins, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And I think communicating hey, he might not communicate the same way as you, but he's wicked smart and he can still play, just in different ways. And I think just talking about it and being open with our kids one day, who will be cousins to Kaidale, get to play with them and hang out with them. And I think everyone should do that. And Kaidale loves to play with kids. I just feel like he's a lot of kids don't understand. And I think just being open with our kids and making them understand and letting them play with him. And I think it's gonna be really awesome. I'm super excited about it. So
Yeah.
I think just talking about it and just being open about it is just what it's all about,
Yeah.
That's what I think.
Just education and information.
Yeah.
It goes so far.
For sure.
It really does.
Yeah. Kaidale's awesome.
Yeah.
You'd be lucky to know him. Our
Yeah.
kids are gonna be lucky to know him.
Aw, that's so sweet.
I got one.
All right, go.
Okay, it's actually happened several times, but whenever we see him, the last time you came to Tallahassee, we were hanging out, and I think Dakota was working, and we were at FSU, and there was a blonde girl walking away from a distance, and he thought it was Dakota.
Yeah.
And he does that a lot. Or rather, I would say, again, more frequent. Every time I see him, whether I'll come to Jacksonville or he'll come here, and maybe Dakota is either working or with her family, and I get really excited. I'm like, "Hi, Kaidale, how are you doing? I haven't seen you in forever." And he'll just kind of look at me and he'll be like, "Coda, Coda."
He loves to go.
And I'm like, okay, that's cool.
That ties
Yeah.
into my favorite
Yeah.
memory.
Okay,
Yeah.
go.
Yeah.
So I hadn't been around Kaidale for a while because I moved away when I went to college for the first couple years, and that was when he was kind of first being diagnosed and everything, and he was nonverbal for a while. And so I came home and I had this dog, Charlie, who's my heart and soul.
Yeah.
And we walked in and he was like, "Charlie, Coda?" And I didn't even know he could say, he could talk. I was just like, oh my God. I just thought it was the coolest thing ever. And I still think it's the coolest thing ever. But
Charlie.
yeah, he's like, "Charlie, Charlie." And
Charlie.
I just love it. I don't know. The fact that he cares so much about me and my dog. It's just so random and crazy. Because I like to think I'm a part of the family, but I'm not. But the fact that he cares.
Yeah, you are.
I know, but I'm not. But I am. But I am.
Yeah.
But the fact that he cares so much about us, and he's very, he says a lot of words, he definitely does, but at the time, he didn't say as many, and he would say Charlie, and I just thought it was so cool. That's my favorite memory.
See, I can tell you with 100% confidence that Kaidale does not discriminate.
I know.
He does not know that you're not blood. You are part of his circle. You and Charlie, you and Charlie are his family. You've always been his family, and that is what it is.
That's Charlie.
Yeah.
That's Charlie.
Right there.
Perfect.
That's
Yeah.
Charlie.
just gonna talk about my dog for a while.
You do it.
He's so sweet. And he's like a therapy dog. And there's just nothing I love more in this world than Charlie. Look at that. Look at that stud right there. Charlie. He's so sweet. Y'all want to hear the story of me and Wesley?
Yeah. Yes. Everybody does.
I'm just kidding.
Dude, everybody's fingers are in these shots.
Shut
Like, hey.
That's why you
Hey.
edit.
That's why you edit.
Say cheese.
12 years to the beginning.
No. I don't have enough time for that.
Oh, my dear, please would you be mine?